me telling that a vice president or a supposed vice president in this case is very bad at her job when you hear rumors of people within the White House supposedly wanting to throw her under the bus, and especially in the case of the border border crisis that we're currently dealing with. And honestly, I definitely think that's 100% the case with Kamala Harris trying to go to Guatemala, to Mexico, and just her recent activity with talking to reporters such as CNN, which, by the way, that's a little bit funny to me considering how far left and how biased they are towards the Biden Harris administration. But let's get into it. First was her trip to Guatemala. Already there was it was just the start of a disaster. She obviously met with Guatemala, the president of Guatemala, and she basically told Guatemalans and all illegal immigrants, please stay out. Please stay out. Like that's going to be making a big difference whatsoever. Seriously, how does she believe that making a speech would actually do that? Plus, she isn't even liked in Guatemala. People, she was met by lots of protesters who actually came out and said, "Get out, Kamala. Trump won." Even they saw the problems with the 2020 election, despite the fact that here in the United States, the mainstream media and even on Wikipedia is trying to claim that Biden won legitimately despite all these discrepancies and irregularities, and despite the fact that the Arizona audit is still being counted, which could possibly show discrepancies. But I'm digressing. Obviously, Kamala Harris, she's done pretty bad. I'm pretty sure that she doesn't have a clue what she was doing with Guatemala, and she was already on like there. And especially is the case with Mexico too. I'm from the ever since Biden was supposedly sworn in as our president, there's definitely been some confrontation between his administration and the rest of Latin America. I'm including Mexico in this case as well. And they definitely want to have this border crisis come to an end because they themselves are also being affected. Yes, the United States is the major destination, but where do the routes go through? That's right, through Panama, Guatemala, and through Mexico itself, which means that the cartels are around there, and that just causes just illegal immigration, human trafficking, etc., etc., etc. They obviously have a major problem with this, and yeah, apparently Kamala Harris was sent there to try to mediate with the Mexican government, but I doubt anything is going to happen. And of course, she finally flew back to Washington. Didn't even go to the border. None whatsoever. It's really funny because she was put in place by Joe Biden to be in control of border policy or the immigration issue in general. And right now she's completely screwed it up, not just with her foreign policy, but the fact that she has never gone to the border and say, let me check my calendar here. It's June, so that would mean February, March, April, May, June, 5 months. 5 months in her supposed tenure as our VP, our supposed VP, and she's never been to the border. And especially since this crisis has escalated to the point where it's actually hit a 20-year high. At this point, even ICE facilities are just are needing to build more rooms, more buildings, just to accommodate this increase in illegal immigration. That's how bad the problem is. Sticks, Hex, and Hammer actually mentioned it. This is definitely worth note that there's definitely at least in theory some issue between Kamala Harris as well as with Jill and Joe Biden within the White House. And personally, I definitely agree, but I also think that it does and he also did mention this as well, that the establishment is also involved with this as well, with just not liking Kamala Harris. After all, she isn't really liked in her party. Need I remind you, back during the primaries, before the Iowa caucus, she only had 2% popularity. I repeat, 2% popularity just before the Iowa caucus, which was the first caucus of the Democratic Party, and she dropped out before that happened anyway. By the way, it goes to show how badly Tulsi Gabbard annihilated her. It was freaking awesome. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if Tulsi Gabbard would have been our VP, to be honest. That would actually been pretty good reaching to the other side, at least a little bit. But I digress. Why is this happening? Well, I definitely also think that it's because Kamala Harris is being used as a tool in this administration. Joe and Jill Biden are trying to they already have their own problems to deal with. They already have the inflation problem, the unemployment problem, COVID, etc., 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 and just more problems that this administration has been creating nonstop since January 20th. And it's getting worse. So, another problem comes up. The border crisis. Who better than to send Kamala Harris to take the heat off of Joe Biden? Honestly, I don't think that this is going to work either way. It's again, I'm gonna refer to Six X and Hammer about this. He specifically says that this is a no-win situation either way. But in the case of Kamala Harris, doing nothing is basically less damage to her than to go to the border and say, oh, we got all these problems, yeah. But I would also like to argue that with new revelation with what's been going on in Texas, don't worry, I'm getting to that pretty soon. Kamala Harris is probably gonna have more egg on her face as she is doing nothing. Simply because of what Governor Greg Abbott is doing. What Governor Greg Abbott decided was that he was going to continue building the border wall in Texas. This, I say, is a pretty decent plan and definitely a big political maneuver. Because after all, Texas is doing its own thing, as it kind of normally does. I mean, after all, it's Texas. And it's trying to secure its border on with Mexico to try to stop illegal immigration, and at the same time, this would give Greg Abbott a little bit of a link to President Donald Trump and his policy in regards to immigration. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he would use this as a means to potentially launch himself as a candidate for president of the United States. You never know. After all, it would make sense. Greg Abbott links himself to President Trump. He builds the border wall. Border wall proves effective against illegal immigration, at least in Texas. I can't say to the other neighboring states like New Mexico, Arizona, or California. Greg Abbott would definitely make that part of his platform, say that what accomplishment he made in stopping illegal immigration. And if supposedly Harris decides to run for president, whether or not Joe Biden dies or not, he could easily use this issue against Kamala Harris, saying, oh, look, I did something while I was just the governor of Texas to stop illegal immigration. Where were you for the first five months in your supposed vice presidency? And he would definitely use that. Either way, Kamala Harris, whether you believe that she is the VP or the supposed to be VP, you can guess my opinions in that sense. You can't doubt that she's been ineffective at her job. And honestly, all I think she's good at is trying to take the heat away from Joe Biden. At least as much as she possibly can. My name is Noah Meehan on The Arc of Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with friends. Also, if you have any regards to how I make my videos, such as how I speak or how I can improve whatsoever, please post them down in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.